Hi, everyone. My name is Evan, and I interned with Magnuson Environmental Stewardship Alliance, or MISA for short, where I led volunteers to restore natural areas around Magnuson Park and investigated best stewardship practices for urban green space. My research focused specifically on the Puget Sound's wet meadows, most of which have been degraded or destroyed for agriculture and urban development. Some degraded wet meadows remain in urban parks like Magnuson, where recreation on trails can help build awareness about this ecosystem. But it's not well understood how these trails may impact vegetation, habitat, and functions such as regulating floods and pollutants in our watersheds. I investigated this topic with two main questions in mind. First, how does trail activity impact vegetation structure in urban wet meadows? And second, what stewardship solutions can help restore and conserve these meadows? To answer my first question, I recorded plant height along a formal trail that was designed for the park and an unofficial social trail that was created over time by people walking off trail through the meadow. Figure 1 here shows the transects parallel to the social trail where I measured plant height. I also observed traffic levels along both trails during 1 hour intervals. To identify stewardship solutions, I conducted a literature review, interviewed restoration experts and park staff, and synthesized observations from leading restoration volunteers at other sites around the park. So moving on to my results, the impacts on vegetation were actually quite clear. Vegetation along the social trail on the right here increased by 8 centimeters, just 1.5 meters from the trail. Height along the formal trail, however, did not increase much until right around here, 7 meters, implying the formal trail had a stronger and wider area of effect on vegetation height. But what caused this decline specifically? Well, I found that there were 19 times more people using the formal trail, but only 1% of these users walked off trail compared to 44% of the social trail users. The leading issue was actually leash dogs, 37% of which wandered up to 5 meters off the formal trail, usually to sniff things. This seems like a small issue, but given how many dogs use this trail every single day, it has a strong effect on vegetation over time. At a physical level, the raised formal trail also diverted surface water, even with culverts, which altered plant establishment. Both trails contributed to soil compaction and erosion, which also changed growing conditions for plants. So, what can we do to better steward our parks given this information? It is important to recognize that recreation is a good thing. Taking your dog for a walk through the meadow builds a personal connection to that place, and that connection can be a resource. By organizing the park through, or the public through social clubs and community stewardship programs like MISA, we can promote conscientious recreation in a non-accusatory way. Organizing the community around stewardship can also help increase local park budgets, which often fall short of supporting ground staff sufficiently to prevent weedy shrubs and trees from encroaching. Volunteer groups like MISA don't apply all that well to meadow restoration, particularly since more hydrology and soil engineering is required, and these projects rarely produce visible short-term results, which keep volunteers coming back for these projects. The need for professional restoration practitioners means more funding is often required for meadow restoration. Lastly, changes in the design process can help influence user behavior. Spaces like sensory gardens can be created for low impact engagement with nature, and incorporating natural trail barriers such as streams and ponds can reduce physical access and maintain visual access in certain areas. This can simultaneously restore natural flood patterns that wet meadow plants rely on. Removing the old stormwater drains that prevent long flood periods at this site would be the first step for restoration. And these same principles can be applied to any urban trail system in the world. instead of a one-way model where recreation is passive and harms long-term ecosystem health, we can adopt a reciprocal model. And this means reinvesting the energy and emotional connection we have with natural areas back into them by organizing at the community level to support stewardship and better park management. This would overall decrease degradation of ecosystems like this meadow and reinforce the services they provide, such as stabilizing groundwater levels during floods and droughts and filtering pollutants out of our waterways. By touching grass more gently, we can conserve these ecosystems for generations to come. I would like to thank my site supervisor, Tom, my faculty advisor, Julie, Andy Rasmussen, and Angela Yates from Seattle Parks and Recreation, my Capstone cohort, and my friends and my family for their constant support. Thank you so much.